Alright, hello gamers, Mucklick here, and today we are doing another episode of I Tried, where I try playing a build I have not played before, and see how it feels, see if the grass is greener on the other side. I was focused on stuff that would use the spears, as you know, they were just recently added to the game, and today we tried out the Alacrity providing DPS Spear Renegade. And this is our boy right here. So first off, just to give an example of how it's played, just to show I have achieved a basic understanding of this, we're gonna run into this guy. We're going to use these two spirits. We are going to do this and swap here and do that and start blasting out some spear skills. And we're just pulsing a whole bunch of torment and stuff right now. I honestly think I messed up that opener. That did not feel right, but I couldn't even tell you why. All right, and then we do R, and then we do T, and pump out Alacrity again, and then use 5, 2, and 4, and then 5 again. And we are going to use R, and then T as soon as it's up, and then swap, as we get bonuses for swapping while below 10 energy. And do that, and that, and that, and that. And just keep doing this. Okay, and then swap while below 10 energy again, and then R and T. And you see, our damage is creeping up. This build takes a while to kind of get up there to the more respectable numbers within the community. But we are approaching 27k right now, which is about the highest I ever saw. So I'm just gonna stop there. We are just short of 27k, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so what is the build that we're trying today? So first off, the gear. It is full Ritualist. It is Ritualist everything. We got superior runes of the Trapper on our armor. Writ over here, we've got a staff that has Earth and Torment on it, and we've also got a bow with Geomancy Doom, but you pretty much never use the bow. You could just, I said staff, I'm sorry, spear. We got a spear with Earth and Torment on it, and we also have a bow that I pretty much never use that had Geomancy and Doom on it. The build itself is right here. We are using Kala and Demon Stance most of the time. We've got Invocation, Corruption, and Renegade, and you can see the traits here and what they do. We don't have to worry about telling you about the utilities because for the Revenant, the utilities are locked in with the legends, so you know we don't really have to explain what I'm taking and why. Everyone's got the same stuff there. So how does it play? Easy enough that I almost thought about making this an LI, like a low intensity build. I'm not sure if it's there, but let me just say that I was able to pick this up really quickly. So how do you play it? So first off, you sit in Spear like the entire time. Let's talk about how to keep up Alacrity. That's it. You literally hit this button every time it lights up, and that's 100% Alacrity uptime on your group. It's also a decent 360 radius, which is pretty generous. There's a lot of classes that don't have that much range. That's the range of it. So anyone in that range is getting your Alacrity. So that's pretty easy. So you basically hit this whenever it's up, and that's your Alacrity. Now let's talk about the spear skills. You're basically hitting the 5 to do big damage, and as often as you can, and then the 2 and the 4 in between them. It's like 5-2, 5-4, 5 some 1s, 5-2, 5-4, 5 some 1s, and on and on and on and on and on, for as much damage as you can. The 5 also has a stacking buff, so as long as you haven't gone at least 10 seconds since the last time you did a 5, the buff stack will fall off. But as long as you keep occasionally doing the 5s, the buff stack will stay up and you'll be doing your peak damage. When you are in Kala, you want to do this one and then this one. Ice Razor's Ire into Razor Claw's Rage. When you use Ire, it buffs the next thing, and then Rage, you want it to receive the buff. So bing bing, you do those two as a pair. When your energy is below 10, because of this right here, when you swap legends while below 10 energy, you will gain 25 energy. So when you get your energy below 10, you swap to Demon Stance, you instantly turn on Embrace the Darkness, just to be a total edgelord, and then you basically just hit spear skills and stuff until you get below 10 again, and then you swap back. You really don't do anything else in Demon other than Embrace the Darkness, so just that one button there. If you are trying to get your energy below 10 and you are struggling, you could use one of the other, like the F1 and the F2 commands in order to get your energy lower, but that really should not be necessary. That's it. That's it. You're using the 2, the 4, and the 5, and again, you stagger them. It's like 5-2, 5-4, 5-1, 5-2, 5-4, 5-1. You kind of stagger them like that to keep the buff rolling. If you're in Kala, you use, what is this, the 8 and the 9, And if you are in the demon stance, you just use the ultimate skill, and then that's it. And that's the whole thing. Utility. What utility do you bring? First off, you have a stun break on your number 7 slot on both of them. So Pain Absorption is a stun break. Dark Razor's Daring is also a stun break. Additionally, Dark Razor's Daring is also a massive CC. When you use it, it does 600 CC. So if you are in Kala stance, when a break bar appears, you are just like, It is so good. If you're in the other one, when the break bar appears, it's like... You do have some other CC, but none of it is anywhere near as good as Dark Razor's Daring. The Spear skill 4 has 150, but you're pressing that off cooldown, so it's almost never going to be available. The Dark Razor's Daring is 600. The Demon Stance has a pull here on the 9, which is 150 also. And then if you have to, you can swap to the short bow, and the 5 skill does 200. Or you could put a staff on that weapon slot for the 5 skill, which does even more CC, but less condition damage, because this is a condition damage build. Additionally, you know, as a Revenant, you have all the other Revenant stuff. During the tests, I basically took this build to the daily strike missions plus the Ice Brood 5, and one of them was Harvest Temple today. So the second fight I ever did with this was Harvest Temple. So I swapped out, I kept Kala, and I swapped out Demon Stance in order to get Centaur, and then Centaur allowed me to have the projectile blocking bubble, which I used to, you know, help get us through the Harvest Temple fight. So I gave up some damage there for utility. Additionally, if you're in a fight where you really needed more stability and your healer didn't have it, you could use Dwarf Stance for the stability road, one of the best sources of stability in the game that pulses a bunch of it. But for your usual bread and butter, it's going to be Kala and Demon Stance. I do believe, according to Snowcrows, because I visited their website after trying this build out, I didn't even go into that. I was first suggested this build by a member of my community, and they got it from Guild Gen. So this is where I got the original build that was super easy to learn. Snowcrows has the same build essentially, but with different weapons that adds a few more steps for a little bit more damage. So if you wanted to take this even further, I'll link both of these in the description, but they both ended up having the same equipment other than weapons and the same traits and specializations. But how did it feel? First off, I don't even think I touched on this. It's fully ranged. Every single one of the skills you're using is completely ranged, and you can see that like right now, like all of the stuff you're summoning, like everything. The only thing that is sort of melee is when you do Embrace the Darkness, which pulses conditions around you in this purple circle. You want the enemy to be within that circle to be pulsing conditions on them. But everything else is pretty much ranged. So if you're in a situation like on Harvest Temple when we were kind of hanging back from Primordus, or when we were fighting the giants as they're part of the Zaitan fight that spit the death juice at their feet and you really don't want to get close to them, I was doing okay. I was still able to do damage. When we were fighting Whisper of Jormag and we all had to back away because of red circles and split up for a second, I could still do most of my damage. So it felt pretty good. Like on a scale of 0 to Virtuoso, if Virtuoso is like the pinnacle of ranged DPS, this felt like an 8. You know, it was up there, again, because I had one move where I needed to be pretty close, but that's it. I was able to provide my like, there was never a time I couldn't pump out Alacrity. It didn't have like a dead zone, or like a dead time where it's like, oh gosh, I need to generate more Bladesworn bullets to give out a lack, you know, nothing like that. You know, you could literally just hit the button every 20 seconds, it's fine. How fragile are you? I have still never used my heal skill on either of Legends. I have almost 32,000 health. I have, I went downstate at one point because I got distracted and I got popped in Harvest Temple, and then someone else revived me. That was it. I do not feel fragile at all with this build. Very generous. Again, I haven't even read the tooltips for these. I still have not used the heal skills on either of the legends on this character. So that shows you how fragile it felt. You either got one-shotted or never died. Yeah. I got popped from a mistake I made during the Harvest Temple part. But yeah, so just sharing this one, it felt pretty good to play. It has some good utility, but you have to plan for it, because sometimes accessing the utility on a Revenant means changing your legends before the fight begins. Like, oh, my group needs the anti-projectile stuff, so before the fight starts, I'm gonna get Centaur out so I can block projectiles. And then, you know, when you're doing this, you make sure you keep giving your group Alacrity, you make sure you're blocking those projectiles, but your own personal damage is it goes way down, you know, because you're diverting all of the energy that you usually, and I do mean energy, the resource bar that you usually do into damage, you're diverting that into the utility stuff. But that can make a kill very easy. such as our Harvest Temple or our Bone Skinner today. You know, just kept the bubble up the whole time, did that my job, and then it was smooth sailing from there. So it has, I would say, less on the fly utility. The CC, again, you've got access to a massive CC with Dark Razor's Daring, but it's only accessible 50% of the time, because the other half of the time you're in the demon stance. You're swapping back and forth constantly. So if it's, you know, if the coin flip lands in your favor and you are in Kala when it's time to CC, Dark Razor's Daring is huge. If the coin flip does not end up in your favor, then you just have quite a bit less CC. And of course it got to use the spear. It got to use the new shiny toy, and it's almost entirely range. It felt pretty good. I know during the spear beta, the Revenant spear was one of the worst ones. It was like considered by many to basically just be trash. And they have definitely, you know, made it a bit better. Again, numbers wise, I managed to peak around 27k, and this is a boon DPS, not a pure DPS, so that's more than adequate. And it was very easy to learn and play, quite sturdy, so you could run this in open world or anything if you wanted to. And yeah, overall, solid. If someone was looking to pick up their first ALAC providing DPS, I would have no problem recommending this to them. But what do you think? If you've got any questions, problems, thoughts, concerns, or tips, tricks that I didn't think of because I'm a brand new Renegade player, throw it in the comments section down below, and I'll fight you there.